All right, what's going on, folks? How's everybody doing out there? First of all, let's do a quick sound check. Can anybody hear me? Everybody hear me? How's my volume? All that good stuff. We're going on a little mobile setup here, so you just never know what's going to happen with that. All right. All right. Can everybody hear me? I don't know why I'm yelling on this thing. All right, good. Thanks, Mike. There's a little delay, as always. I'm down here. So I'm coming to you live from Guadalajara. I'm down here doing some work for the government, my nemesis. And much rather, I'm dealing with cords over here. All right, and I'd much rather be at home in the studio with the fam, chilling out with Summer. We'll wait for everybody to get in on here. I see we got a few folks. If you just came on, go ahead and say hello. Throw something up in the comments for us real quick. Just say hi. Jason, rad, good to see you, buddy. Dan, always good to see you. Mike, good to see you. Mike, have fun out there shooting tomorrow. Willie, good to see you, buddy. I am up here on the rooftop. Summer doesn't know it, but I bought a penthouse. It's only going to cost me an extra $700 a night, but it's fine. It'll be fine, I think. No, I'm actually up here on the, I don't know. Nobody comes up here. There's a pool back there, a little lap pool. That's what you see right there, that long thing right there. That's a lap pool. And yeah, anyways, so we're out here rocking it hard out here in Guadalajara. So I'm going to try to keep looking at the camera, not look down so much. We'll even lower this camera just a little bit. Besides, the less of me you see, the better off you'll be. John, good to see you, man. Hunter, hey, Hunter, I hope you guys have a great time tomorrow. I know you will. Mike Hinn is on here. He'll be out there with you guys as well. John, good to see you, buddy. Who else we got? Again, if you're just showing up, go ahead and say hello. For those of you who don't know, we have a long-range course going on tomorrow, long-range level 1. I, unfortunately, will not be there, but we have some great instructors there. Brooke will be there tomorrow. We have a new gentleman that Brooke recommended that teaches for a federal agency, and his main thing is long-range as well. So I'm looking forward to hearing how he does. I know he'll do great. Brooke is someone that isn't going to recommend somebody unless they're just fantabulous. Gerald, good to see you, buddy. Blaine, 0001. Alex, good to see you. Blaine and Gerald, is this your first live stream with us? Let us know if it is. And so tonight, or this afternoon, this evening, I guess, I'm an hour behind you guys. It's only 6 p.m. here. I wanted to talk a little bit about basically personal security, physical security, as well as situational awareness, and making sure that you're always armed, whether or not you can carry a gun, because there's lots of different options. And we'll get heavy into that. But the other thing that I want to do is make sure that we leave this open. That's what these free-for-all Fridays are supposed to be, is just an open forum. You can bring up any topic you want, unless it's stupid or inappropriate. But, again, we want to leave these open to where you guys have, firsthand interaction with us, and we can answer any questions. So while we kind of set some loose topics, this is meant to be a back and forth, right? Don't just let me sit up here and talk. I get tired of hearing myself talk, and there's a lot of great questions that you guys have that'll keep this thing going. But again, one of the things we are going to cover is physical security, situational awareness, the importance of all those. And I think probably a lot of people that are watching right now probably apply a lot of these things as well, but hopefully, or you apply a lot of these things already. But I hope to be able to articulate some of the points and that you can relate to your friends, your family, your daughters, your wives, your kids, whomever. and how important this really is, and the importance of situational awareness. And for those of you guys that don't know, I started working for a federal agency back in 2011 as a special tactics instructor. I was teaching firearms tactics, room clearing, defensive tactics, basically basic hand-to-hand self-defense stuff. And I did that for a couple of years. And then I was asked to develop a curriculum for security awareness for people that are going overseas. And really what it was more geared toward was surveillance detection and understanding how all that comes into play. So anyways, we'll definitely get into all of that tonight. But all throughout this, I don't care if you got the squirrel brain and suddenly you have a question about something else, throw it up here and I'll try to, I'll make sure that I address it. So that's great. Thoughts on a P365X macro? I don't know that I've seen that particular one, Jason. I am, Dan, our number one, he's a client, but also a good friend, and our web guy is on here right now. And Dan loves SIG. And I know when he first started coming to train with us, I gave him a lot of crap because I always hated SIG until the 365 came out. Before that, I think we have 2 or maybe even 3 Smith & Wesson M&P shields at the house. And that's what I carried for everyday carry. And then the 365 came out, and man, I just love that gun. And then the 365 XL came out, and that's my current gun. I got a video on that of how I did a build on that, what I recommend for a red dot, why I recommend a red dot. While I haven't seen, I don't know what the macro is, if that's a particular model or whatever else. I haven't seen that, but we carry those. We carry the 365 XLs, the 365 Xs. So anyways, those are, I'm sure it's great. Everything that SIG has put out in that 365 line is great. And all their other guns are great too. Personally, I have bought 3 different of the other P series 320s. And I tried really hard to like those, and I just couldn't get into them. But the 365 line period has been amazing. So big fan of those. I'm sure that's great. Let me know if I answered your question on that, Jason. And if you haven't, Jason, definitely go check out, I think I called it the EDC gun build or something like that. It's one of our, I don't know, it's one of the videos I put out just in the last couple months. If that is optic ready, then we do have optics for that. The Hollow Sun, oh gosh. I don't know. We got it up there. The one that's specifically for the micro pistols. I've been busy working all day in the heat, probably dehydrated. My brain usually doesn't work all that well to begin with, but it's definitely not firing on all cylinders right now. Richie said, I learned a lot about improvised weapons at an early age from my mom's specialist shoes, whatever. That's legit right there. The macro is the 17+ one, has the comp slide from the Spectre comp. I never cared for SIG either until I got my P320. Yeah, so again, definitely their old 2 series was, so the federal agency that I still work for, they had 226s, 220s, and 229s. And man, those, I loved SIG until I went here and started training with them regularly. And they were they fell apart a lot. Now, again, these are duty weapons that probably weren't taken all that well care of. But anyways, they've come a long way as far as improvement. We've had several of the Spectre comps in. We sold those things sold so fast. I was hoping to, some are also new to sell them quick, or I would grab one. And, one of my, MOs that Summer knows well, that if something cool comes in, I got to take one to do a review or, whatever else on it. So she got those things out the door quicker than I could get my hands on them. So she did good. Yeah. The 507C, Summer said the Hollow Sun 507C, we have those, or 507K, John. That's right. We do have those in stock. Those are great. Been really impressed with that. I have that on my 365 XL and love that. I don't know if we still have them in stock, but we also had the Streamlight, the Streamlights for the SIGs. That thing is amazing. That little tiny light adds no bulk, and we also have holsters. We have really great holsters for those as well. Look on those, the Warthog holsters. I've been carrying that gun, that setup with the light and the holster for probably 4 months now, and I love that entire setup. It's just great. Handles and shoots like a full-size gun, but you still have a light. You still have, 12+1 rounds in that thing, and the XL, and it's still very compact. SIG is okay. They've done a few things right, Dan. You need to calm down. We have the Streamlights in stock ready to go, as well as those. And by the way, one of the things I loved about those, I did a lot of research trying to find the right holsters for that setup. And those Warthog holsters, number one, the quality on those things are amazing. But number two, what I really like about those is that if you don't have a light on the gun, it still retains the gun. So that was another key feature that I thought was important. I've talked to the owner of Warthog holsters down in Arizona many times. Great guy. His name is Matt something or another. Great guy. One-man shop. Really cares about quality. And those holsters are on our website. So we'd love if you purchase those from us. He will also do custom stuff. So if you have a holster that or a gun that is not in our lineup or we don't have, number one, we can either get it or we have it made. So come through us, and we'd appreciate the business. What else we got here? John says he's putting the 507 on his Glock 43X. Also a great combo. I will absolutely say the G43 and to some extent again, I love the M&P Shield, but I think it's showing its age now. I know they just came out with a new one. I haven't gotten one of those that's more comparable to the 365 XL. Haven't got that yet. Probably won't, because I really like the 365. If it's not broke, don't fix it. All right. So I don't see any other big questions coming up. Again, tomorrow we got long range level 1. Folks, if you haven't taken one of our long range courses, I highly recommend it. If you're getting into long range shooting, I highly recommend it, right? What's great about our courses is you can come and we have lots of different guns. We have lots of different gear. And we can show you what works and why, including talking about, we do a very in-depth optics class on that. We go over what makes a good optic, and the different features so that you can determine what is right for you. So you can come there without having bought a bunch of gear. You can come and see if long-range shooting is something you like and enjoy and is worth investing in. And then number two, we can show you what to buy the first time. Lots of folks have come to those courses where they spend a lot of money, getting a gun, rifle, optic, and all that other stuff set up, just to come to the course. And by the time we're done with the PowerPoint talking about optics and guns, they realize they've wasted a lot of money or spent money in the wrong spots. As well as we talk about different rear bags and all the other accoutrements that you're going to need to invest in to have a good long range shooting experience. So come train with us with that. You'll get started off right. Let's see. Aaron, hey y'all from the communist state of Delaware. Good to have you, Aaron. And Zach, SIG 1911, only SIG handgun I like. 507 on a 1911 works well. Absolutely. Yeah, they're definitely, 1911s are definitely making a comeback. They're coming up with a lot of nice double stack 9mm 1911s. I'm interested in some of those. So we'll see what's, and by the way, I plan on getting on in a few different ones to do some reviews on. So keep that in mind. EDC is a Spectator with a 509 Tango. Good choice. Full-size gun. Way to rock it. All right. So if there's no other questions about anything there, let's kind of just talk a little bit about again, situational awareness and making sure that you're prepared. So there's obviously a lot that goes into this. And, especially when you're traveling, one of the acronyms, and I've done a class on this in the past, online class. You guys might be able to look it up in one of the live streams. But MDDR, mitigate, deter, detect, and react, right? So those are the things that you should be thinking about, MDDR. And when we talk about mitigate or deter a threat, the first thing that you got to know is what that threat is. So, if you're traveling anywhere, you got to make sure that you look up the crime stats in that area. You do a little bit of investigation into where you're going. Knowledge is power, and knowing what to look for can make a huge difference. And even in your area, folks, I bet you if you looked up the crime stats in your area, even places that you're familiar with, you'd probably be surprised at where they are and what are some of the most common crimes. So if you have that information, now we can start kind of gearing what to defend against and how to do that, how to avoid those things to begin with. So, again, conflict avoidance, especially when you're traveling, especially when you're overseas, is critical because you never know what's going to happen, right? You don't know if you're even able to defend yourself. And just because you can defend yourself doesn't mean you're going to come out okay. And lastly, you don't know what that court system is going to look like, right? So you could end up getting stuck in a really bad place. I think what most people will kind of want to know right off the bat. So we'll put the juicy stuff up first, and then we might get into more discussion about the nuance and some of these other things. So obviously, when I travel overseas or outside the country, I'm here in Mexico, I can't carry a gun. But I guarantee you that I'm always trying to find different ways to make sure that I can defend myself. So one of the things that I always carry on me anywhere I go is this Karambit. And so I carry this. Number one, and I'm not endorsing this particular, this is a cold steel tiger claw. I bring this with me because I'm always ready for it to be taken away. It's not a bad knife. It's actually been a really good knife. It's extremely sharp. This is CTS XHP steel, which is a high-end knife steel. This has been a great knife for what it is, but it is, a fairly cheap knife, and it's one of those knives that, if I have to let it go, I'm not going to cry too hard about it. It's I think about a $150 knife, but this has been great, and I always carry this. And folks, if you haven't, we've had Steve Tarani out to do some Karambit training a couple of times, and we probably need to do that again. Karambits are one of those things that I always thought was kind of a novelty item until I attended that training. And folks, I'm telling you right now, this is probably one of the most effective self-defense tools outside of a firearm that you can possibly have. Number one, it's easy to use. If you don't know the first thing about a Karambit, number one, we can actually just punch with it, right? So it can be effective just punching with it. But once you get some training in it and you know how to actually use this thing and understand, and it doesn't take much to get some decent applicable skills out of a Karambit. So I think for an EDC knife for self-defense, you really can't go much better than a Karambit. I also like the fact that it has the ring on there, which again allows for retention. But what the other thing that's about a Karambit is you're just grabbing something. I don't necessarily have to stab something. I can grab someone, or as they come at me, I'm just putting it on their skin and then I'm just yanking back. So it's highly effective. Then if you get into some of the other things like some of the cool things like you can trap an arm and then just fillet up the arm, from joint to joint, which is, there's a lot of stuff that you can do with this. Highly effective tool. So if you don't own a Karambit, I suggest you get one. But with that, I suggest you find some good training with it, because a few hours. One of the things I always tell people is, when it comes to self-defense training, especially to women, please don't go waste your time on one of these 2 or 3 hour, self-defense classes. It is going to give you just enough information to really get yourself in trouble and give you a lot of false confidence. There is nothing, a couple hours of training is not going to overcome the physical and force disparity between a woman and a full-size grown man. It's just not. Now, there are some badass women out there, but there are also women that are training regularly that can use that high level of skill to overcome that disparity. But it takes such a high level of training that, again, a woman really needs, and if you're a smaller frame dude, you need something that is a force multiplier. And, I'm a big guy and I feel like I can handle myself. I know how to strike, I can roll. But you know what? I want an advantage every single time. And so a Karambit really helps with that. Let's see. Jason says, when it's prepared at all times for all places is going to be a course. It needs to be. Jason, we need to do that. Matter of fact, I would love, for those of you that don't know, Jason Doucette, black belt, BJJ guy, owns Battlefield Jiu-Jitsu. Jason, I've been wanting to get with you and do some, of course, we've been working on a lot of things together, right? Kind of long distance, but there's some things I definitely want to get with you and talk about turning this into more of a course, because it needs to be for sure. Definitely do not get a 3.38 start going out long range shooting unless you have a good range that will let you shoot there. That is true. And this is something that Hunter and I have been talking about. Hunter just bought an MPA PMR Pro from us. I know we're jumping around here a little bit, but that's fine. He is also coming to our long range course tomorrow and Sunday. And, one of the things he's talked to me about is the fact that most ranges won't let you shoot 3.38 at their steel. And just like he's also kind of articulated a little bit, people think that if you're shooting 3.38 or, 50 cal, that, if you miss, it's going 50,000 miles and it's going to become part of space debris. Richie, do you personally think truck guns, rifle or PC, are advisable? I'm substantially more proficient with a rifle than my CCW. However, I don't like the idea of arming a carjacker outside of my church, etc. So, yeah, Richie, I'm actually getting ready to do a video on a product for just that. And yes, folks, always have available to you the best weapon, right? And without a doubt, I don't care who you are, you're going to shoot a rifle better. You're going to be more accurate. And I think these truck guns or PCCs are highly advisable for self-defense. The problem with them is where they become a little impractical, maybe, is obviously now they're not on you, on your person. But as long as you can secure that, and again, use your own judgment. But I'm a big fan of that. And there are definitely times when I have a pistol, AR pistol, in the vehicle with me, and I carry it, especially when we go on trips and things like that, depending on what's going on or what I think the circumstances are. But you got to balance those. But without a doubt, if how likely are you? If it depends on where you're at. If you're in Baltimore, where carjacking happens all the time, and that gun's probably illegal anyhow, maybe not the best idea. But again, understand that is definitely a force multiplier over a handgun. So keep that in mind. All right, so just like I was saying, I definitely believe in Karambits. Look into Karambits themselves, as well as getting some training with those. You can get a few days of training with a Karambit and be highly effective, from the right people. And again, hopefully we'll have Steve Tarani again down here, and we'll do another course with that. And I think that'd be really good. I want to continue to learn. There's stuff I've learned. I still practice. If you are going to get a Karambit, make sure that you get a trainer as well. That is another thing that's really important with that. So the other thing, let's go back to the premise of a lot of this. If we believe that anything is important, whether we're talking about self-defense, weapons, whatever we're talking about, right? You need to have a PACE plan. And PACE stands for Primary, Alternate, Contingency, Emergency. So, we could go really into the weeds with this, but I try to have a PACE plan when it comes to weapons for self-defense as well. So usually a firearm is going to be my primary, but it doesn't mean that's not the only tool I'm going to have on me, because some things are going to call for a firearm, and that's where people get in trouble. If that's the only tool you have, if all you have is a hammer, then everything's a nail. Not all problems are going to be solved with a firearm. And then I'm going to have an alternate, which is usually going to be my Karambit. I'm going to have a contingency, which is usually something like this, a tack light. And then I'm going to have emergency, which I'll get into some emergency things like that. But when I'm traveling, we have to back everything down a little bit. So now my primary is my Karambit. My alternate is my flashlight, my tack light, which can be a huge, again, you smash somebody in the face, especially this one has a pretty aggressive bevel on the front. And just the fact that, you know, how effective, and John, I'm trying to think of his last name. Again, one of our clients was talking about, he actually called me and thanked me because we had done some low light courses. And, you know, I show people how effective a light is if you use it properly, use it with movements. So he was at a campsite and there was some altercation going on. This guy was, you know, being, I think he actually got into a fight with a family, like out of the blue. This guy came up to a tent full of a family, didn't even know them. They had no relation, and suddenly started attacking. You know, John came over there and just had a tack light and was using just the tack light with some of the tactics that I had shown him in our both our carbine course and our low light handgun course. And you see that enough alone was able to, he ended up leaving. So, you know, just the fact that you have a light, which is also kind of dual usage, that's really handy. And then of course the physical force that you can exert with a good tack light as well. So, you know, a good alternate or contingency self-defense tool. So again, when I'm traveling, primary is the Karambit, alternate is this. And now I haven't really had a contingency. The only other thing I've had to fall back on was, you know, basically the worst case scenario, I would have to break out the weapons of mass destruction. So my emergency were these right here. And, you know, I didn't want to start leveling buildings, so I always held those in reserve. But all joking aside, one of the things that I'd been looking at for this particular problem that I had was these different wallets, right? So this is Dango Products. It's a Dango wallet. I'm actually going to be posting a review. I actually started the review. I kind of did, not really an unboxing, but kind of overview of my plan with testing this particular wallet, as well as this money clip that I'm going to talk about in a second. So this is a very low profile wallet, which I really like. I had another one that was all leather. But what is cool about this, without getting too much into it, is the fact that we have this machined inside of here, this machined frame. And I'm telling you folks, you know, if I had to really use that, that is again, force multiplier, right? We're exerting a lot of force. And actually, there's a tool insert. I actually left it down in my room. I meant to bring that. But it does have like this survival tool thing that you can put in there that's kind of edged. I'll probably post some pictures of it. Matter of fact, I'll post it to social media at the end of this. I'll show you the pictures of that, just so you know what I'm talking about. But it does insert down in here. Now, my only problem with that is that I'm not sure how practical that is, because you'd have to open your wallet, you'd have to pull that out. And there are cases where you could do that. It also adds a little bit of bulk. And my biggest concern with this is probably, I don't know, a couple millimeters thicker than the leather wallet that I was carrying. And I hate sitting on even that small leather wallet, the very minimalist leather wallet, definitely caused me some irritation when I'm sitting on a long time, if I'm driving. And I thought that this being thicker, so far I haven't really experienced that. I'll just cut to the chase. So I was surprised that so far I haven't experienced. And I did ask Dango to send this to me. I told him what I wanted to do. Told him, and these are types of products that I've been wanting to add to our online store anyhow, and just I think they're cool. I like wallets. I like you know, watches, and I like things like this that serve multi-purpose that are useful, right? So, and they look cool. So I asked them to send this to me. They did. The other thing they sent me was this, and this is a titanium money clip. And as you can see, this thing is freaking pretty darn big. So this, without a doubt, again, as a tool that I could use for self-defense, it's pretty legit. I think what I don't like is the thickness of that front clip. I wish that was a little bit thinner. It does add some bulk. Now I'm usually carrying this in my front pocket. from a non-weapon standpoint, I almost wish kind of these two things were combined. And I guess from what I understand, you can actually take these screws out and you can actually put this, I don't know, attach this to one of those. But now we're getting into a lot of bulk, and I'm not that happy about that. My only complaint, I really like this wallet a lot. My only complaint with it so far is cash. So you can't, the other minimalist leather wallet that I had like this, but it wasn't, there was no aluminum or anything in it. It was just all leather. It has like a money clip right here in the middle that you can slide, and basically your money kind of sits like that, and then under the clip sits like that under the clip, and then when you close it, you know, it folds up. This, you can't really do that. Your only real option is kind of fold your money in thirds and slide it underneath this silicone band. And then once you get a few dollars in there again, we're starting to get really bulky. So what I have been doing is I have been carrying my cash in the money clip, and then, you know, all of my cards on this. So, you know, take that for what it's worth. But that, from a self-defense standpoint, is great. I like those options. I keep this in my front pocket. It's just, now this is $100 wallet, and I think this titanium thing is like $100 too. So now we're carrying around $200. So there's some pros and cons in there. But my point of all this is making sure that, you know, if you're a little bit creative and you search the interwebs enough, you can find something that is practical, multi-purpose, and can be used as a legitimate self-defense tool. So keep that. Gerald, do I travel with backpack armor? Currently, no, and I've been meaning to for over a year. We're actually a Defender armor dealer. I love their armor. They make some great backpack armor. That is one of the things I've definitely been meaning to invest in, and I just haven't. I definitely recommend it, though. They make some really good level 3 and even level 4 backpack plates. The 3A, which will stop pretty much all handguns in a lot of rifle rounds, are super thin. They're super light, super effective. Obviously, once you get into level 4, which are going to stop most rifle rounds other than armor piercing, they get a little heavier, but they still are lighter than most metal plates, and it's a non-metallic plate. So I highly recommend that. Let's see. To access the files. My only hesitation with Winchester armor is just wanted to let you know this. Aaron, where's Aaron? Loudoun County is pretty darn expensive. Yeah, so apparently, I guess James Yeager died today. Yeah, sad to hear that. I didn't agree with a lot of his, I don't know. I didn't agree with many of the things that he did or said from a training standpoint, but that's okay. But he definitely, you know, our prayers are with him and his family. That's a shame. Any quick thoughts on Loudoun County, Virginia? I haven't been there in many years, but I'm looking to escape New York. I figure almost anywhere is better at this point. Yeah, Justin. So if you want to go from major New York to minor New York, Loudoun County is the closest place in Virginia to New York that you could possibly pick. So we are just outside of, we're actually in West Virginia, but we're like 25 minutes from Winchester and 25 or 30 minutes from Maryland, right here on 81. If you want to get to a place to where, you know, you're not going to run into, I know Loudoun County, they were trying to enact a bunch of like local gun laws and things like that. And they probably have the juice to do it there just because of the politics. And that it's definitely the most liberal county, definitely close to the most liberal county, if not the most liberal county in Virginia. And that area is definitely turning, it's purple now, like dark purple. It's definitely turning bluer. So if you're really, you know, again, we're only probably 45 minutes from Loudoun County. So I would look at somewhere in West Virginia if you're trying to escape the nonsense. Let's see. Yeah, and even Winchester is better than Loudoun County. I know Mr. Rojas mentioned that. And like I said, if you're going to go to Winchester and you want good gun laws and you're going there for freedom, I would say just, hey, go up 10 miles up the road, basically, and go ahead and move into somewhere in West Virginia. Let's see. No, that's all right, man. That's what we're here for. So Richie, you know, when I was in special operations, we did basically a lot of jiu-jitsu. We worked on a lot of strikes and things like that as well. Not necessarily in any one particular. It was more of a mixed martial arts approach. Also, when I was a tactics instructor for Department of State, we did a lot of strikes and a lot of different defensive tactics. There again, a much more mixed martial arts approach to it. What I have been really wanting to do, we've just been so busy, is I definitely want to get heavy into a formal BJJ program and also Muay Thai. Jason is on here. I think he'd be much more, he's definitely the guy, the subject matter expert in that. He runs a great program over there in Battlefield Jiu-Jitsu. Personally, I believe that between Jiu-Jitsu and Muay Thai, I think those are the two disciplines that I want to end up focusing on, and I want my kids to focus on. So, you know, Jason, if you're still on here, if you'd like to comment on anything like that, feel free to do so on that. I do think the one thing, and it's just my opinion on that Jiu-Jitsu is lacking is the strikes, right? If you're just going to go roll, there's lots from a self-defense standpoint that you can take away from that. But there again, it's basically, you know, an agreement between two people that, you know, we're not going to strike. And while, again, there's lots of jiu-jitsu that you can apply from a very practical self-defense standpoint. And I think it's hugely important. I think it's absolutely one of the best. If I had a choice, hey, just jiu-jitsu or just Muay Thai kickboxing, I would probably pick jiu-jitsu. But I think you combine those two, you become a very highly effective person when it comes to 99% of the self-defense situations. And there again, anybody can chime in on their thoughts on that. Yeah, so again, you know, making sure that you have a weapon on you, I think is hugely important. Making sure that you know how to use that weapon, obviously, is hugely important. Make sure that you're avoiding conflict is hugely important. And all of that goes down to situational awareness as well, right? So, you know, people often tell me situational awareness, and I have a whole PowerPoint where I can go through some definitions that I basically created. You know, what is situational awareness? It's not just seeing what's going on around you. It's basically observing, analyzing those observations, you know, processing what's actually happening and understanding how those things could or could not affect you. Also, how you can use what's going on around you to a tactical advantage. So, you know, situational awareness is more than just, you know, looking around. Now, with that being said, there's a lot of built-in security of just looking aware. You know, it's really the difference between, you know, a deer or an antelope that's down there grazing, that's not paying attention, or the one that's looking around. Which one is the lion going to go after? And even if you're not actually aware, even if you're not actually practicing good situational awareness, just the appearance of awareness makes you a much harder target, or definitely deters a lot of threats. And those are things that you got to really consider, because there's actually been lots of studies on this. There's a couple that I cite in the curriculum that I developed for the Department of State, you know, where they basically went through and asked criminals, what was the key thing that made you attack somebody? And it always came down to, and sometimes it wasn't even a conscious decision of why they picked the victim that they did. You know, there's an innate, especially with predators, right? Can't even always articulate as a predator why you're going after that particular prey. But a lot of it comes down to, are they aware? Do they look like an easy target? And the fact of the matter is, whether you're a man, woman, or child, if you don't look like you're paying attention to your surroundings, you look like an easy target. And you're opening your, and you can just be a target of opportunity because of the way that you look, because of your appearance. You could actually initiate a threat to you that wouldn't have even, if there's a criminal that's walking around and just has criminal tendencies. He wasn't even planning on going out and mugging somebody or sexually assaulting somebody today or whatever it is. But you now have created that opportunity by looking like your prey, by looking unaware. And those are things that we need to make sure that we let our family know, make sure our wives, daughters, kids, whoever, if make sure that you're looking aware, get your head out of that phone and pay attention to your surroundings. Yeah, so I do have a opinion on those. I think they're great. And that's actually another product that I plan on doing some reviews on. And I actually have had one or two. I couldn't find them the last couple of trips. And I planned on actually, not even this trip, but the trip before, getting a few and testing them out. But I also have seen those taken at airport security. So, again, I think any of those tools like that are just super, they just make sense, right? So anytime that we can have a weapon that doesn't look like a weapon, just makes a lot of sense there. What other questions do you guys have? Let's see here. And by the way, folks, I want to make sure that we're building this community and making sure that you guys are bringing different experiences and products to us and suggestions. Obviously, I get so sucked into doing all the different things that we do, and I know many of you don't understand how busy Summer and I stay between running courses, trying to maintain a YouTube channel, trying to get a video out every week or a couple of weeks sometimes. We stay busy running a website, which Dan helps us out, answering emails, all the things we do. So it's easy for me to get myopic, right? And I'm always looking for great ideas or great products that are brought to our attention because I don't want to get stagnant with just what we get used to, right? And we're always looking for better things that represent, who we are, what we do. So anyways, shoot us an email if you ever come across a product you're like, hey man, this is really cool. Let us know. John Jack says, sometimes I catch myself getting tunnel vision when being approached by someone on the street, not being aware of someone that may come up behind me while being distracted. Yeah, so that's absolutely true. Again, making sure that you're in the moment, and we've all done it, right? We're sitting there answering a text on the phone. We're checking our socials. We're checking emails. We walk, whatever it is. It takes discipline, and it takes not only discipline, but a habit of breaking yourself away from that. I definitely am much more aware of these things here when I'm traveling overseas, and definitely a lot less phone time. Definitely not in my phone nearly as much. Because again, and the other thing too is understanding your environment, right? So again, analyzing your environment. When I'm in Martinsburg, West Virginia, obviously it's not nearly as dangerous as Guadalajara, Mexico, especially as, I don't exactly blend in. I know that's going to shock you guys, but I'm aware of those things. Like, I stand out a lot. And even being in restaurants and things like that, I also know that I stand out as a challenge. We've actually, we had an altercation when I was in Africa just a few months back. I think it was back in November, where a guy out of the blue started a fight with a guy that I was with. And I really think he was drunk and was kind of headed, he wanted to challenge me, but decided that was a bad idea. So went for the guy that was smaller. So again, making sure that you're analyzing that environment and determining what risk level you're at so you can kind of, again, adjust your level of awareness or readiness. So, you know, that's part of it too. Minimum lumen for a defensive light, I'd say around 500, Gerald. Most of these, I mean, and I don't think there's really a maximum at this point. I know this one is, I think, 1200 when it's on a, I don't think it is 1200 right now. I think I need a new battery. But I think this one is 1200, and this is like 4 or 5 years old. This was a power attack that actually one of the guys at the Great American Outdoor Show, they gave me for like almost nothing to try out. And it was meant to be a rifle light. There's a mount that goes on this that'll mount it to your rifle. It's a terrible rifle light. That's not what it should be for. But as far as just a everyday carry, it's like the perfect size. I don't want one I have a smaller one in my. I actually have like 4 tack lights in my bag right there, at least 3. Let's see what I got here. But I think this is the perfect size because, again, what I like about this is that as I close my fist, I still have metal showing through on each end. So if I'm going to strike somebody, I don't want it so small that all the meat is covering up those hard points. So for me, this is like the perfect light for that. And this is around 1200 lumens. It's very bright. It has, if you just hit the button in the back, it has a strobe. You know, maybe they'll have a seizure or something if I just hit them with that. But no, I don't really believe in a maximum. I hear that a lot from people, like, oh, you don't want a gun light that's 1000 lumens, like you get bounce back. Bounce back is bullshit. Like I've been in hundreds and hundreds of on objectives with really bright lights. I still train with 1500 lumen lights, bouncing them off against. And I actually played with this in my basement. We actually have the type of insulation, has almost like this, I don't know, almost like a Tyvek, but it's very reflective. It's a plastic, it's the most reflective surface that you're going to find naturally in most structures. And I've tried to do this bounce back thing where I'm just so blinded by it. It's nonsense. I've been in lots of objectives, been lots of training events where I've never once been on any of those where I thought my light was too bright. But many, many times I'm like, hey, it would be nice to have a brighter light. So if you go into like a big auditorium area or a gym or an open space, the more light, the absolute better. Or long hallways, the more light, the absolute better. I've never turned a corner into a drywalled wall and been hit by light. Even if it's a freaking mirror, yeah, you're going to see spots for a second. But there again, you have a light there that you're shining everywhere else. It's not like you're going to hit that like and then turn your light off and be just debilitated. That's just this whole thing about lights being too bright. I'm sure there's a point where it is. I'm sure if we get into where we're talking about 4 or 5, maybe 10,000 lumens or something ridiculous like that, which I know there are lights out there that'll do that. We probably are getting to an area it's just ridiculous. Not only that, it's probably going to be too heavy. So there's that. Self-defense options when, say, down an arm. I don't know what you mean. Oh, if you don't have an arm, if you're missing an arm. Let me know if that's what you're saying, if you're missing an arm. Well, I mean, the first thing I can think of is a hook. I mean, you got to get a freaking hook. You got to square that away. Personally, like the Surefire Stiletto. That's a tack pin, right? I believe that's a tack pin. I mean, Surefire just makes great stuff. I mean, there's almost nothing that. Yeah, we got them on the website now, Justin. So you can go to our website. I believe they have. We should have low light hanging courses up there. Yeah, are they? Maybe I'm wrong, but maybe I don't have one on there. We did have an issue. You know what? I think you guys are right. We will get one up there. I guess we'll just have to do it out at Panthera. I was trying to find a place other than Panthera with a good shoot house nearby. By the way, folks, if you're in the Northern Virginia area and you know a good ballistic, both a ballistic and non-ballistic shoot house, like a tack maze, if you know of a place that has that, let me know. We got some contracts coming up that we need to fulfill that I'm going to need one. The closest place I know is Panthera, which is almost 2 hours away from us. We've held some courses down there. It's a great facility. That ballistic shoot house is amazing, but it's far. It's far for us, and it's far for our clients. I would like something close, at least a non-ballistic tac maze where we can use sim rounds, airsoft, or something like that, or at least just get some good reps in. You keep telling me open the long range class. That's my passion, what I enjoy most. However, I kind of suck with a pistol. I'm bait for training. I better start there. Yeah, man. Well, you know, Richie, and the thing is if you haven't taken a formal course, even when it comes to long range, chances are you don't know what you don't know, right? And I have a lot of clients that are even competitive long range shooters, and the same thing goes with pistol, rifle, and everything else. You know, what we're really good at, because all of our instructors have spent so much time training people, because, you know, we've done it for a living for the last 10 or plus years, for federal agencies and military and everything else. We're really good at taking someone that is an excellent shooter and really nipping around the edges. And that goes for long range or tac carbine, pistol, whatever it is. So, you know, we can see those things, and we can coach you into change just little tweaks sometimes. If you're a really good competitive shooter, maybe you shoot better than me and everybody else on my team, but we can still coach you and see the areas where you're lacking in economy of motion, where your eyes aren't where they should be, just the little things that will take you to the next level of shooting. And that goes for all. And again, obviously, if you're a very beginner shooter, we can help you there and start you off on the right foot. So don't think that you're going to waste your money on a long range course. I promise you, even if you do a lot of shooting already. They say sold out. Yeah. I know I think we had like one slot left open today, and I think that was filled. So that's not a terrible problem to have. All right. So without getting too in the weeds, I think that's pretty much what I want to cover on like the situational awareness and improvised weapons stuff, right? So, you know, think about those things. Don't just have one weapon. Don't just have one tool. Have multiple tools that can handle multiple situations. You know, there again, it's very unlikely that you're going to have a possibly violent physical altercation to begin with. It's even more unlikely that you're going to have such a violent altercation that a firearm is warranted. And you just got to think that through a lot and understand that. Yeah, we want to be prepared, but we also want to have, you know, different levels of force to utilize. And if all you're doing is carrying a gun, you're doing it wrong. You need to be able to go hands-on. You need to be able to handle yourself just with these guys. And you need to be able to escalate those levels of force just to keep yourself out of trouble, because the last thing that we want to do is pull a gun out if we don't have to. Now, if you realize you have to, you shouldn't hesitate. So those are all, again, constantly, and that's another thing, folks. One of the best things that you can possibly do is constantly play those what if scenarios in your mind, so that you're always switched on, ready to go. When people freeze in bad situations, it's because they weren't expecting anything like that. They've never had that situation happen to them before, and they're trying to figure out what's going on and how to prepare for it. To keep yourself from doing that is you got to be playing those what if scenarios through your mind. And that the solution to every single what if scenario that you're playing with through your mind can't be I'm going for the gun, right? It's like, okay, what if this happens? All right, I would, you know, restrain this person. You can't just be I'm pulling out a gun and holding a gun at somebody or shooting somebody. So constantly play those what if scenarios in your mind, and that will always keep you ready and mentally engaged and mentally aware of what's going on and switched on, ready to act, and give yourself a whole bunch of different scenarios. And you know, chances are, when it comes down to it, is you've already been in that situation. If it comes down to where you have to use some sort of force, you've already been in that situation before. mentally, right? We've played that game in our head. Like we've done that before. So you're going to be more prepared and be just that much more effective to what's going on around you. Richie says, considering defensive handgun training course for me and my wife might be cheaper than marriage counseling. Yeah. Folks, I know that I am not, when it comes to certain things, even with Summer, right? I know that it's probably better off when I have her out in the range. I let Brooke do that. It's not because we can't, but it comes across as spouses, right? We're constantly critiquing one another. Sometimes we do it almost viciously. And even if you're not trying to do that, right? And again, I'm sure there's like one or two marriages out there that aren't under this, but maybe you could coach each other through there. And there's two problems with that too. Number one is that most husbands aren't professional instructors. So you're teaching them the wrong thing anyhow. You're probably doing something wrong to begin with. You don't have good fundamentals, and now you're teaching her bad fundamentals, or you don't know how to articulate and diagnose the problem that she's having to begin with. So never mind the fact that there's a wall there between being receptive to your instruction to begin with. It's just not, you're probably not instructing right to begin with. So again, bring your wife, bring your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your significant other, whatever. And I promise you, it'll be a much more enjoyable range experience overall. DD5 V5 or Delta Pro. The DD5 V5 is a AR, right? Yes, I do. Gerald, I absolutely do. Not only do I carry my IFAC, I have a couple of extra tourniquets in here, and I got an IFAC there, extra tourniquets in the bottom, and an extra tourniquets, a couple different tourniquets I have here, and pressure bandages in outer pockets as well. So always carry med gear and make sure you get training if you haven't had proper medical training to begin with. Thoughts on the Mark 12? I mean, I don't know, it's a great gun. I mean, you can build a Mark 12. If you want a 10-inch barrel, go with. Let me just make sure I know what we're talking about here. I got muted, even though I didn't touch the mute button. Got it. Yeah, so I don't know what the last thing you guys heard. We were talking a little bit about pepper spray. What I was saying was basically anything that you can do to demonstrate that you use an escalation of force, right? And the gun wasn't the first thing that came out. Those are all great things. You gave them an opportunity to retreat. You tried to retreat. They left you with, no other option. Now, obviously, there's exceptions to that. If you are trying to break into my home with my family in it, man, I'm not even going to say, hey, I'm on the other side of this door and have a gun. You're getting smoked. If you come into my house, there's no warning. You're breaking in. You're physically trying to get into my house. That's what I'm going to do. I'm not telling you guys to do that. I'm just letting you know there's not going to be any warning, and you're going to get smoked because I'm not going to give you the opportunity to shoot through that door or give you any sort of tactical advantage in that type of situation. I have every right to defend my home and my family and myself. So we're going straight to the. You're getting the full magazine. I'm going to identify my target. I'm not saying shoot through the door. Let's be clear on that. I'm going to make sure that I can see what I'm shooting at. But if it's clearly someone I don't know and they're beating through my door, the moment they step through that threshold, I can identify them. They're getting smoked. Aaron says Karambit brand recommendations. No. There's a couple. There's a couple out there that I'll say this. So, and I'm having trouble remember some of the brand names that I do like. If you're going to get, it's definitely better to have a fixed blade Karambit. That's without a doubt better. But obviously, that's not always as practical. What I do like about this, as well as some of the other Karambits out there that also have something like this, is it has where I can deploy that. So this piece right here, let me show you that. And this takes practice to get it right every time. So that's another thing you got to train with. But what this allows me to do is I hook that piece on the back on my pocket, and then as I pull it up, it deploys. So, if you're going to buy a folding Karambit, again, this is I won't say that I won't recommend this cold steel one. It's actually pretty good. I wish the retention ring was thicker. Most of the Karambits, the more expensive ones, are going to be thicker on there. It's a little thin. So because again, you can actually, when you're whipping that thing around, it's actually nicer to have a thicker retention ring there. So, again, whatever you get, make sure that you train with it. Also, there's a lot of the Karambits that are much straighter. Even this one is straighter than I would like, and the folding Karambits tend to be straighter than you want. Typically, you want your Karambit more at an angle like that. That's what's going to maximize kind of the effectiveness of it. It's not quite a 90, but the tip should basically be pointing 90 degrees to the handle. But while this isn't perfect and ideal, it's still pretty effective on that. So there's a lot. Number one, this is easier to use. Again, I talked about the retention ring. Also, the ability to basically grab, and again, with a little bit of training and a little bit of, and by the way, I recommend training with the straight blade too, right? Straight blade knife. I'm just telling you right now, the things that you can do this, like, basically looping on the back of an arm or in between a joint, the way that this will grab the skin because of the curvature of that blade, or reaching up through and grabbing the femoral artery. The things that you can do as a strike, going for those lethal areas. This just gives you a much better chance because with a straight blade, if I'm going for the arm or whatever else, I basically have to put a lot of wrist motion into that to really get the blade to cut. Whereas this, it's much less. It's grabbing and it's just tearing as you pull away from that. So that's my thoughts on that. But I think a couple of days of training, I've done now, like we've had Steve Tarani down twice. And in those 4 days training with Karambit, I mean, I was shocked at how much applicable, practical knowledge we walked away with in just 2 days. You know, we normally do a Saturday and Sunday day of training, basically probably ends up being more like 2 6-hour days. But the practical, the real and practical use of a Karambit to defend yourself out of those couple of days was to me pretty shocking. And I've done some other knife training and things like that in the past, and just having a little bit of experience with both, I would say that by far that's a much more effective and easier to learn tool. So that's my thought on that. I have to ask you the same question I got John Lowe. Do you have a suppressor? Yes, I do. I do. I'm not familiar with that controversy with John Lovell, but I do have a suppressor on my home defense weapon. Normally in the studio, I put it up there, kind of right behind us. It's a cool back piece. But yes, I do have. I think it's an 8-inch barrel with a Sandman S suppressor under the rail. It's a pistol. I love that gun with the light on it, and I think that has a SIG. It has some SIG optic on it. It's like their military. It was like a $700-800 optic. I pay that after I get it wholesale, but yeah. So it has a red dot on there. I'm a big fan of using suppressors. Now, just understand, any suppressed AR, you know, it's not really hearing safe. It's not going to be close to hearing safe, especially on a short barrel. Is that short barrel? Again, I think it's a 7-inch barrel with a suppressor, significantly quieter. Sure, but it's not even close to hearing safe. But it does. If you do have to get some rounds off in the dark, just grabbing your gun and, again, having a light, identifying your target. I don't want to be taken out of context here. Got to identify the target, but it is nice to have a suppressor, diminish some flash, and quiet it just a little bit. You know, and again, while your ears are still going to be ringing if you shoot that without ear pro, it'll be a little bit less. I mean, if they have the time to process all, then, especially in, you know, CQB distances, you probably need to work a little bit on shot placement. You know, they're not gonna have time to be in shock or all. They're gonna be DED, dead. So there's that. Somebody write that down and take that to YouTube. I'm sure they'll love that. What else? Any other questions? Anything else you guys want to? So I want to get too in the deep, too in the weeds with all that stuff. Again, we could do a whole PowerPoint, do all the good stuff. Also, suppressed 300 black out shooting subsonic rounds for home defense. No, I think it's great, man. I personally don't use 300 black, but I think that is a great home defense setup. That is a great combo for that. I think that makes perfect sense. You know, suppress everything, man. Suppress it all. Just make sure that it works. Make sure you train with it. Make sure you know what you're doing. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so, you know, there's nothing wrong with the Mark 12 SPR. What I was saying when I guess the audio cut out was the fact that I mean, you know, the question I would turn back on you, why do you want the Mark 12? there's lots of great rifles out there that will do better than the Mark 12 that you get for cheaper. If you're just somebody that likes the I don't know, you like it because, you know, again, it's the same reason guys still like M1s and you know, so if that's why you're buying it, fine. But I mean, if there's better rifles out there, you know, anytime that people are wanting to get a military version of a rifle, you know, those rifles typically aren't that good. You can get a lot better rifles for cheaper typically. So that's just something to consider. You know, again, if you're looking for you can build a rifle for pretty cheap. It's going to be as accurate or more accurate than a Mark 12, and you know it won't be a Mark 12 clone, but you know if that's what you're looking for, I'm not sorry. So I would probably recommend building something. You know, again, you know, making sure you get a good name brand barrel. That's whether it's you're looking for something like a proof research barrel or Craddock barrel. There's lots of good components that you can put together that are going to produce better groups than Mark 12, and that you'll be able to build it for cheaper. So, I mean, you can literally take a Aero Precision lower and upper and put a nice barrel on that. And you know, and here's the thing with all ARs, period. And this goes back to the Mark 12s too. They were issuing the Mark 12s like the last 2 years, Mark 12s and Mark 13s and Mark 18s. The last 2 years that I was in special operations, and just like with any AR components, because of overall just some variance in machining and overall quality and tolerances. You'd have some Mark 12s that would shoot lights out and some that would, and so you're gonna experience the same thing when you're buying off the shelf AR components. You might have a really good barrel, but because the way that it does or does not mate up to the upper, and then you know the lower wiggles a little bit, so you can get some pretty good high end or decent end matched receivers, lower and the upper. Maybe Lancer makes some really nice matched receivers. Rainier Arms makes some really nice matched receivers. That's what I built my home defense rifle out of. That was kind of my Gucci gun. I got a Lancer bolt in it. It was like $300 just for the bolt. You know, I put a bunch of different all the different components on it were like different colors. So like, you know, the gun was black, but I had red accents for the safety magazine. You know, all the Gucci nice stuff. You know, 45 degree. So I was buying that. But again, Lancer makes some really nice matched receivers. Lancer, Rainier Arms makes some, and I'm sure there's more. Yeah, you know, well, I mean, Rich, the fact of the matter with the AR, your neighbors are still, if you know, depending on how far your neighbors are, you're still going to hear it. I mean, it's still going to be over 140 decibels, which is crazy loud. Like you know, you're not going to. I mean, anybody that shot an AR with a suppressor knows you're not getting that thing whisper quiet unless you're going into some of the 300 blackout things like that. So, you know, it's definitely going to. People outside your home are definitely going to hear that. So I don't know if that is a well thought out premise to begin with. That's my thought on that. Justin says, hey, what caliber would you pick for getting a long range shooting if you were starting from scratch, knowing what you know now? Well, you really can't go wrong with 6.5 Creedmoor. 6.5 Creedmoor is a really good round. The other round you're never going to go wrong with is 308. 308 is still a fantastic round. And right now, 308 is easy to get. We have lots of clients that are buying MPAs from us that are getting 308 barrels along with whatever their prime barrel is as well, just for training, just because it's available. So, you know, components are easy to get with that. 308 is still just a fabulous round. Like we can't ever, you know, with all the new 6.5 and all the, you know, PRC rounds, whether it's 6.5 PRC, all these precision match rounds that they're coming out with in much higher ballistic coefficients. 308 is still an excellent round. You can, guys that really know 308, you could go out there and you could win a competition. If you did enough shooting, enough time, chances are you'll be able to afford to do more shooting because the components and everything else are cheaper and ammo's readily available for 308. And you know, I can't get away from the rifle that I just purchased, the PMR Pro 2. I got a 6.5 PRC barrel and a 6.5 Creedmoor barrel. And I'm kicking myself in the ass for not buying a 308 barrel as well. I should have bought a 308 barrel with that. So, you know, with the PMR Pro 2s, you're only paying another about $600 for a perfectly matched, machined, blueprinted, and matched barrel with your receiver. So, you know, while it's not nothing, I mean, it's still $600, but you're getting a barrel that is matched within 0.010 of an inch to your receiver. So everything's matching up, everything's great. And there, if you guys haven't seen my video how to switch that barrel, you can literally switch that barrel in 10, maybe 15 minutes. 15 minutes max. You can, if you have the right tools. So easy to switch out. But I guess, you know, if all things being equal, probably 6.5 Creedmoor. I think that's a really good, you know, the other thing is barrel life, right? So you're probably going to get 3,000, somewhere around 3,000 plus or minus rounds out of a 6.5. Now with 308, you can get 7,000 or 8,000 rounds. I've seen many guns that started off one MOA, 7,000 or 8,000 rounds. Heck, back when I was in my sniper team, we had one Remington 700. It's an M24, but we had like almost or more than 10,000. It was right at 10,000 rounds. It was still shooting under MOA. It was still shooting as good as any of the other rifles. So 308 is great for that too. And you know, you can hunt with it. It's taking every big game out there. I wouldn't necessarily suggest hunting moose with it or elk necessarily, but a lot of people have done it, and it's a very highly capable round. What else we got? Any other questions about anything? Yeah, that's what I'm here for, Justin. I'm here to help you think of shit that you weren't going to think about. All right. You know, and if you're going to do that too, if you know, again, nothing wrong with a lot of guys are buying 223 trainer barrels or buying whole rifles of 223 as well. So 223 is not a long range round, but it's a great round to get lots of reps in, shooting out to like 300, 400 yards. The main problem with 223 is it's just hard to spot beyond 500 or even really into 400. You barely see it hit the steel unless you have reactive targets. It's hard to see it hit the steel. It's hard to see trace unless it's just on the most, you know, the conditions are just right. So, but 223 barrel is great as well for all those same reasons. But, you know, honestly, 223 match ammo really isn't any cheaper than 308 match ammo. I mean, you're still looking at no, I don't even care about that, folks. Somebody did bring this up. Here's what I know about using a torque wrench as a breaker. So some torque wrenches, and if somebody knows better, they can correct me. I don't care. I'm still going to use it. Somebody can correct me on this. But from what I understand on a torque wrench, some torque wrenches will torque in reverse, right? So if you can set the torque, it'll only loosen to like 70 pounds, whatever you have to take. That particular torque wrench that I have, and as far as I know, it doesn't do it. All it does, once you put it in reverse, it locks, right? There's no torque value applied to it. So all you're doing is locking that. And you should be able to break anything free with it. Of course, I wouldn't put a cheater bar or something like that on it, but only because it's an expensive-ass wrench. And I don't want to bend anything, but I don't know. Now, the torque wrenches that, again, you can torque in reverse, the higher-end ones, you shouldn't break with that. That's what I've heard. I don't know if anyone knows any different on that. That's how I understand the torque bar wrench science to be. What else? Well, folks, what else we got coming up? Oh, next week, folks, next week. So our free-for-all Friday for next week, we're going to have on the Gun Trust Guru. So if you have any Class 3 questions, any questions about gun trusts or anything like that, I'm pretty excited about having him on. So if you guys don't know, the Gun Trust Guru, I know his name, but I'm not going to say his name because I'm not sure. I actually sent him an email. I didn't know if he wanted me to announce his name. He seems to have, it's my perception that he exercises some level of anonymity. But he is a lawyer down in Texas. And he was actually the guy that first started doing gun trusts. So we're going to have him on. I'm excited about talking to him. We get a lot of questions. You know, we are a Class 3 dealer. We get a lot of questions about all of those things. Gun trusts, why you should have them, what's the benefit, is there a downside, all those things. And we always refer our clients to Gun Trust Guru because that was something that we had used multiple times. And we were just sending clients over to him because we thought it was a great service and great value. It's very inexpensive overall. So anyways, if you are thinking about getting gun trust, number one, definitely check out our free-for-all Friday next Friday. We're gonna have him on. It's gonna be a great show. But also go check out guntrustguru.com. Now, we didn't know, I don't know if that's his normal practice, but after a while we started sending clients and they started giving us a referral fee. So that was very nice of him. We weren't expecting that. We didn't know that. I don't recommend him because of that, and it's like not much, folks. So I'm not getting rich off of this. But I do want to express my appreciation to him for doing that and let you know that if you're going to do that, it does help us out too. But if you have questions about gun trust, you can go to guntrustguru.com. It makes it super simple to do a gun trust. And what I love about his gun trust and what is important about his gun trust is that the gun trust ends up autofilling basically as you put in your information, but it is state specific, and that is important. I can't remember where, but I read an article about the fact that there's a lot of these generic gun trusts that you can go on and get, and they don't cover you for your specific state laws. And I do know that the formats that you end up purchasing your gun trust in, it comes in a format that is formatted specifically for your state, and so I think that'll be really, really cool. Richie says, really hope my PMR comes in next week. Richie, we sold yours. I'm joking. Summer would know the status on that better than I would. I think she's on here. She was. Nice. Do I host any training in California? Not currently. Oh, that's another great thing, folks. So if you guys don't know, too, we are expanding operations down to the Richmond area, so Southern Virginia, Richmond, Blackstone, down there. We're going to start holding courses down there regularly. So those of you that are right now, we're just looking at doing handgun, carbine, med courses, basically everything except for long range. But two of our instructors, great instructors that also work for a federal agency, we are opening up training down there. So we're pretty excited about expanding that geographically. So for those of you that are in North Carolina, even South Carolina and Georgia, again, if you're coming from the South, that's going to give you another training venue that is closer to you. Again, it's only like an hour, not even an hour from North Carolina. So just we're pretty stoked about that. Chip, what's going on, buddy? Good to see you. Breeze from 4.5 square miles of paradise. I don't know where that's at, Chip, but anytime you're in paradise, wherever, that's a good thing. Any Labor Day sales? Richie, that's a great question. You know, typically we don't do a lot of really any sales. We do as number one clients, and we have alumni discount, things like that. Typically, we don't run a lot of sales just because, I mean, we genuinely keep our profit margins as low as possible. And most of the items that we have, for instance, we tend to go toward nicer gear, and most of those companies that are offering nicer gear, whether we're talking about AccuTac, Masterpiece Arms, whatever else, they have MAPs, minimum advertised price, that we adhere to. Some of those companies will sometimes give us they allow a break from that for certain sales. So we do participate in that. But honestly, we don't typically do a lot of sales in that. But we do give you discounts for being clients and our alumni clients as well. And if you go onto any of our YouTube videos, in the description is matter of fact, I'll just type it out here. You'll find a banner here. We're just going to give it up to everybody. I will type this right here, Liberty 1776. All right. Scroll across the bottom of the ticker and show. All right, so Liberty 1776 right there. That's your Labor Day sale, Richie. So you can go on our website. Again, we try to take care of our clients and offer as much discounts as we can throughout the year. So typically, we're not doing a lot of seasonal discounts or anything like that. Yes, Summer says there are sometimes coupon codes in the YouTube videos. Definitely good. Mark, we're glad to have you, buddy. You made it just before the end. But that's okay. You can go back and watch this as well. Yeah, folks. You guys before we cut this off, does anybody have any other questions? Or anything that you... definitely go check out our videos, folks. There's one thing I do want to know. So we've had a real issue with sending out and going back to discounts. We've had a real issue with Google shutting us down when we're trying to send out newsletters. And not just Google. We've used a couple different email services. And the first time that we send one out and they find out that we're a firearms company, they shut it down. So we are now moving over to Substack. We will be doing a newsletter. I will be sending out how to get to our Substack and how to subscribe. Now, if you're already subscribed on our website, we're going to move those over. But Substack is actually a pretty cool service. We'll probably be doing maybe some paid for content on that as well. I don't know. Right now, we're going to try to keep everything as free of charge as possible. But with that being said, folks, one thing that we do ask is help us out, right? So anytime that you comment on our videos, that helps us out so much, folks. That is what overcomes YouTube shadow banning us, essentially, because of the content that we have. And they do, folks. They suppress our videos like there's no tomorrow. They demonetize almost every video. If you want to help us out on Patreon, that's fine. We have a Patreon account. If you want to give a couple bucks a month, that stuff adds up and that helps support us so that we can we're putting all this stuff back into the channel. We're putting it all back into the business. Summer and I are not getting rich, right? We want to one day. And with your help, maybe we will. But all that stuff helps. And definitely sharing our content, right? Tell your friends about us. Go to, when you're shopping for something, order from us. That's what we don't want anything for free. We want to earn your business. And, when you order from us, that's where we make money off of YouTube. We're not making money off of YouTube videos. They demonetize almost every video. They limit our reach with that to begin with. So if you order from us, we really appreciate it. And if you see something, you're like, hey, I can get it over here for $5 cheaper. Well, paying an extra $5 helps us. That helps to support us. Or just give us a call or shoot us an email, and we'll meet or beat any price. We can only advertise our items at a certain price, right? Because that's the agreement that we have, because we're a legitimate dealer for these companies. We want to uphold that. But doesn't mean that, again, we won't match that price. So let us know, and we'll help you out as much as we can. Let's see. I live in Florida, but have family there. What's like to see about ordering again in 338? Absolutely. Mark, you ordered a rifle from us already, right? I think you did. Either way, yeah, again, that's definitely an option. Also, if you're looking at 338, Mark, and anybody else thinking about 338, I would also highly suggest looking at 300 PRC. Ballistically, at long range, there's a point where that PRC, just because it has a higher ballistic coefficient, is actually outperforming 338. It won't be for the first 1,000 yards. Both of them are trucking first 1,000 up to a mile or so. But for that extreme long distance, ELR distance, a lot of guys are moving to 300 PRC. So that's something to think about. On top of that, it's also a great hunting round, right? Definitely for big game. If you're looking at, elk or moose, 300 PRC is a really great round for that. And it should do a little bit of less damage on your meat than that 338 Lapua. No, it's type of talk to next. It's a text I would like to move. Great, Mark. Well, we'd appreciate that. Do you build out for Delta 5s? Do I do build out? Yes, we do. So I made a decision to, we just sold the last Delta 5 that we have in stock. The Delta 5s are great, but we'll build out any rifle that you want. So any rifle that you want, whether you want us to order it, we still have access to all the distributors, anything that any other gun store would have access to. So if there's a rifle that you would like that we don't currently have in stock, let us know. We'll shop around. We'll get you a deal. And if you're wanting to buy additional accessories and the custom case and all of those other things, we'd be happy to help you with that and provide that service and talk to you and just work through that process. Make sure we're getting the exact scope you want, the case you want, bipods, cleaning equipment, all of that stuff. We would love to be your one-stop shop for that. And I talk to clients on the phone all the time. I like doing that better than emails back and forth. Again, I don't mind it if you email me, but I like to get it all out in one phone call. It's usually easier and go from there. Excited about the 7mm PRC. I am too. I'm waiting to see ballistically how that's going to compare. I know I've seen some of the supposed charts and things like that, but I'd like to see as time plays out how much better that is going to be than the 6.5 PRC. We'll see. Perfect, Mark. And also, if you want to, if you would like to email us directly, I'll be honest with you. Some of this, we have so many people leaving stuff, and a lot of it's spam on the website. A lot of times, sometimes things get lost in the sauce there. So let's just do this. If you want to email us at services@Paramount Tactical directly, and then either myself or Summer will respond right away. Yeah, we're getting a lot. The good thing is we're getting a lot of spam on our website because obviously we're growing. Bad thing is we're getting a lot of spam on the website, both order crap and just spam comments and contact information, things like that. Dan has done an excellent job taking care of a lot of stuff. So the quickest response, email us to services@ParamountTactical.com. Anytime you guys have questions or anything like that, don't hesitate to reach out. If I can get to it right away, I will either call you or send you an email in response. So we're here for you. Learner, can't beat that. I mean, there it is. Time to build my GCP and Vince Florida. It's a vision platform. Nice, Mark. Cool. Hey, and when you guys get new rifles and stuff like that, hey, make sure that you guys are posting those. Tag us in them. We'll post them on our page, or you can post them to our Facebook site. If you're not following us on Facebook, make sure you do that. Also, Instagram, True Social. I just recently got on there not too long ago. I'm trying to figure that thing out still, as well as Twitter. We'll do some stuff on Twitter as well. All right, folks. No one else has. Yes, with really high BC bullets. No one has any other further questions. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. Again, even when I travel, I'm going to try to do these, be consistent with this, right? Sometimes it's really tough. But and also, if you have recommended topics, feel free to email us those too. I'm always trying to think of some new things to talk about and discuss for these free-for-all Fridays. We're going to continue to have special guests. Make sure you don't miss next week. I always feel like there's stuff I'm forgetting when I sign off on these things. Summer, what am I forgetting? What am I supposed to tell people? Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon. Hey, no, all joking aside, the other thing that you guys can do to help us out is if you go turn your notifications on the YouTube page. That really does help us out. You get those notifications. That way, it just ensures that you see the video, or at least are notified when that video drops, so we get more views. Which also, again, all those things help feed the algorithm. The more you're doing that, the more momentum that we get, and the faster we'll continue to build this community. So, appreciate all that. All right, folks. You've heard enough of me. You got a Friday and a weekend to go have fun. So really appreciate you viewing. Thank you for your time. Hopefully you got something out of this. Hopefully you got some food for thought. If you need anything, email us. Make sure you buy from us, or we'll get you. We'll find you. I'm just joking. All right. Have a great weekend. God bless. And stay armed. Stay ready. We'll talk to you soon.